Rev up your engine! Okay, today I got an Audi A4 turbo with a check engine light on. Before we get to what the problem is, we'll get a general overview of these cars. Now, everybody knows I'm not a fan of these things because they often turn into endless money pits. But this one is an exception. The guy bought it used a few years ago, and it now has 117,700 miles. He's a lucky man. He hasn't put any money in it yet, really, other than oil changes and stuff. But you gotta watch out for these things because as we look under the hood, we have the 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder Audi engine. And these things are notorious for burning oil and blowing engines, but the oil's full on this and it doesn't burn any oil. But here's one of the reasons it doesn't. He changes the oil and filter every 3,000 miles with full synthetic oil. I told him he could go 5, but he says, I'm going 3. I'm not chancing it. He's really taking care of the car. Most of the engines I've seen blowing on these, they didn't change the oil enough, or they were the 3rd or 4th owner who never changed the oil, the previous ones, and they just burn oil like mad and they would blow up. Now it is a 4-cylinder turbo. Realize turbos wear out faster. Even Audi says, oh, you should get 100 to 150,000 miles out of the engine and or the turbo before they wear out. Now to get the 211 horsepower that comes out of this little engine, the turbocharge is needed. They're rather quick cars, but they will wear out faster. Now, hilarious enough, originally the Audi A4 was called a large family car, but this 07 is the first year that they call them a compact executive car. Yeah, what's in the name, right? Being a 16-year-old car, hey, it's still in immaculate shape. Check it out. 16 years, these leather seats are still immaculate. Look at them. Now, granted, nobody probably ever sat in the back. It's just him and his wife. Didn't put many people in it. You can see a dog's pen in here. He's got a dog. But the seats are in excellent shape. The console's in excellent shape. We'll pop the trunk. Old school, you got to pull on it. And he's got a car cover. You see, he takes care of his stuff. But under the car cover, man, this baby's whistle clean. But you do have to understand there have been class action lawsuits against this 2-liter turbo engine, and I know an Audi mechanic that says he spends a lot of time replacing these things. Now, whether they don't maintain them right or some of them weren't built right, regardless, this one is in excellent shape because the guy really takes care of it. If you're ever thinking about buying one, have a mechanic or yourself do a wet and dry compression test of all the cylinders to see what shape the engine is. And if the piston rings are worn out and has low compression, don't buy it. As you can see, it's a nothing job. Here's the coil on plugs. You pull those off and do the compression test. Very easy to get to. It's almost as they planned it this way. Well, these things break a lot, so let's make them have lots of room so it's easy to work on them. That's a rarity for a German car, let me tell you. Usually they're impossible to work on. And do realize also, this has a rubber timing belt under here. And it isn't interference engines. If the belt breaks, the pistons hit the valves, destroy the engine. You got to make sure you change this thing at least every 90 or 100,000 miles, or you can say goodbye to the car. Audis are high maintenance cars. That's how they are. He's maintaining his quite well, and he loves it. Somebody originally paid over 30,000 bucks for this car. He paid a fraction of the cost. He was willing to roll the dice, and so far, he's winning the gamble. But as you can see when we start the car, the check engine light is staying on. So something is amiss. Let's check it out. Scan tool hooked up and it's got 2 codes. P0011, camshaft intake retard set point not reached. The same code again. So we got to mess with P0011. So the first thing we're going to do is look at the freeze frame data. See when it occurred and look at it and analyze it. It only had 38% load, and it was going 55 kilometers an hour, so it wasn't going that fast. Plenty of voltage, 13.9, so there's nothing wrong with the charging system. Now, from my experience, there's 2 main things that cause this code. One, believe it or not, is dirty oil. And I checked his oil. It's real dirty. It needs an oil change. So we'll change the oil first, right? That makes the most sense. The other is a bad variable valve timing solenoid on the engine. I told you this engine's easy to work on. Check this out. There's the solenoid right here. Just unbolt it, pop it out, and put another one in if it goes bad. Now, the oil may be full, but you can see pretty dirty. And what happens is that dirty oil clogs that control solenoid. There's this tiny little holes in it. You can see from the picture. They got little tiny holes. They will clog it up and then it won't work right. First we'll change the oil and filter and see what happens. So now we've changed the oil, we'll erase the codes. Erase. You gotta turn the car off. Turn the key on. Erase. Erase. It says it's successful. We'll see if it was. Okay, it's looking through it, and there's no codes. Now we'll take it for a spin. We'll start it up. It started. You can see the check engine light is off. And since the coach came out of highway speed, we'll take it on a highway speed. Now while I'm road tested, hey, it's a pretty luxurious ride. We're on the bumpy roads. They don't feel all that bad. It really handles quite well. We'll try to go around some of the bigger bumps. Now I can see why people buy these cars, because they are fun to drive. As you can see, we're going into town. We'll step on the gas. This thing gets up and goes. Still shifts pretty good too. Well, now we're on the highway, and as you can see, it's a smooth riding car. Hey, I can see why people buy these. They're very good highway cars. It just can be endless money pits if you don't take care of them. We're going to see if the code comes back after driving it a while on the highway. Because again, that's when the code tripped, at highway speed. So we'll drive it around a while, see what happens. Well, so far so good. The check engine light has not come back on yet. And as we make it back home, what do we see? No check engine light on. The only light on is the seatbelt light. And as we check, no codes. So what have we learned today? Well, sometimes you can fix your car by changing the oil. You also learned you can get a relatively inexpensive scan tool to find out what's wrong with your car instead of paying a mechanic $150, $160 an hour to take money out of your pocket as fast as you can pull it out. And we also learned that Audis can be fun if you buy one that was maintained regularly and you're really good with the maintenance. This doesn't burn any oil, it runs fine, it still handles fine, even though the thing is 16 years old. Hey, and you can certainly get them cheap, just like I said. If you're gonna buy one of these babies, do a wet and dry compression test of the engine. Take the spark plugs out, or pay a mechanic to do it. Because if the engine's going out, you don't wanna buy it. These things do have a tendency of eating up engines. This one's in good shape, but a lot of them aren't. And whatever you do, if you do buy one, my advice, change the timing belt right away. I had a customer in Houston years ago. He'd bought it. 2 days later, he tows it in. I said, what happened? He said, I don't know, it died on the road. I looked at it, timing belt broke, pistons hit the valves, engine was toast. He ended up junking the car because it cost too much to fix. He only paid $3 grand for the whole car. Would have cost him 2-3 times that to put another engine in. So, you gotta change the timing belts on these religiously because they are rubber timing belts and they are interference engines. And here's some bonus questions and answers. SageBear77 says, I got a 2022 Highlander with harsh shifts. It's only got 870 miles. It shifts harsh in low gears. When I go from 25 to 20 miles an hour, give it gas, it shakes, and it made a clunking sound 5 or 6 times. I took the Toyota, they said, well, there's no codes, and the text says, it's the way I drive. He says I'm catching the transmission between gears. I don't like it. I'm mad. What can I do? It's new. Right? They might find that the software is wrong and they'll come up with a fix for it. As it stands now, they're not going to do diddly squat for it. But if it continues to act like that, make videos, show it. You won't be the only one. And if they're having a lot of problems, enough people complain, you complain to the National Highway Traffic Safety Association.org website. So I got this Toyota, give the VIN number. You get enough people complaining, they'll launch an investigation. And if they say, yeah, the trannies are bad, then they'll either have to reprogram or replace them, whatever the problem may be. But start it now. Start it early so you got paperwork to show what's been done, so you can say, hey, you didn't make it right. Modern transmissions have so much high-tech crap into them, but see, Toyota's never acted like that before. They're adding so much more, and they're going to have glitches here and there. It's brand new. You got 870 miles. Just keep following up on it. You might find in the future, yeah, they're going to have a software fix, or maybe they'll have to replace stuff. Who knows? But keep a paper trail, and like I say, report it to the National Highway Traffic Safety Association.org website. Go there, make a report, and you get enough people making reports, then they'll investigate, and something can come of it. The dealers don't care. They're just Americans to run the good dealerships that have a contract with them, and they're out to make money, and they'll just tell you, oh, that's normal, that's the way you drive, blah, 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 because they don't have any fixes themselves, and they don't want to admit there's any problems. So you can't listen to a word they say. They're full of baloney. Make a report. Eventually something will come of it. If it either gets worse or a bunch of other people have it, then they'll either have to figure out how to reprogram them or how to repair them correctly. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.